Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Show, where we interview real estate investing professionals from coast to coast, as well as the service providers that serve the real estate investing industry. Our goal is simple: share what's working now to help you improve and scale your business to the next level and meet the pros that can help you get there. Real Estate Pros is powered by Investor Fuel, America's leader in helping real estate investors and professionals build the business you need to live the life you've always dreamed of. Let's start today's show. Property insurance for real estate investors doesn't have to be difficult, but it does need to be there to protect you when you need it. MyInvestorInsurance.com not only provides insurance at 15 to 30% cheaper than traditional agencies, it's built specifically for real estate investors like you. You can set up an account in about 2 minutes, get quotes on properties, turn on and turn off insurance for your fix and flip or rental properties in around 2 minutes without having to talk to anyone directly, all through our portal. There's no better way or faster way to make sure you've got the coverage you need to protect you, and no more lengthy policies either. Once you're set up, you're billed monthly and prorated by the day for however long your policy is active. It's powered by MSI, the third largest independent MGA, with 1.5 million customers and more than $1 billion in cumulative premiums written. Get set up today in about 2 minutes at myinvestorinsurance.com/fuel.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. I'm your host, Brett McCollum, and I'm here today with Dennis Henson. And today we are going to talk about real impact and daily inspiration. Before we get to it, guys, at Investor Fuel, we help real estate investors, service providers, and real estate entrepreneurs to 5X their businesses to allow them to build a business that they've always wanted and allow them to live the lives they've always dreamed of. Without further ado, Dennis, how are you?
I'm great, Brett. Thank you for having me today.
Absolutely, man. I'm excited. We talked pre-show a little bit. You've got, man, I'm just genuinely excited. You've been in the industry for a long time, and I know you have a lot of wisdom and insight to offer the audience today. And I just couldn't be more honored to talk with you, Dennis.
I'm humbled. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So do me a favor. So catch people up to speed a little bit. Tell us, like, who's Dennis? Like, give us some, background a little bit. Who's Dennis Henson?
Mostly, I'm a real estate investor. Lately, I've been writing a lot of books. I'm in the winter of my life, and I've learned a lot. And I've struggled a lot, failed a lot, succeeded some, and I wanted to leave some breadcrumbs along the way for people coming along behind, so that they don't have to go through. They don't have to learn it by making the mistakes. They can learn by listening to someone who's already made them.
Love that. Yeah, I mean, definitely can raise my hand and attest to the mistakes thing. I've definitely made my fair share. Yeah. So you said before you were primarily in the real estate space, buying holds, flips, the whole thing. What's your history been like?
Well, if it's dealing with single family, I've pretty much done it, subject to short sale, notes, probate. I mean, private money. If it has to do with single family, then that's been what I've been doing for a number of years. When I graduated from college in 1970, I had a degree in music, and I started out as a band director.
Nice.
And the school that hired me said, well, we'll let you live in our house. So that's really why I went there. They were going to give me a house. I wouldn't have any rent to pay or, mortgage or whatever. So I signed the contract, and then I went there, and they said, well, the board met, and they changed their mind.
Oh, no.
I was already the band director there, then didn't have a place to stay. And they said, well, we do have a vacant lot on the campus, and if you'd like to put a mobile home there, we'll let you do that. So I went and purchased a mobile home and placed it on a little lot right next to Railroad Street in Nashville, Georgia.
Okay.
I had been living with some band parents preparing for band camp, and I had to get up really early. They lived out 15 miles from the school. So I had to get up at like 4:30 to be there at 7 to get ready for band camp.
Stop living on an island and join the #1 mastermind in America for professional real estate investors. Investor Fuel is a community of hundreds of the nation's top investors working together to build stronger businesses and better lives. In addition to the amazing community of real estate investors acting as a board of advisors for one another, Investor Fuel members have access to 100% funding on purchase and repairs for our members only, a health insurance program, and benefits and discounts that more than pays for the membership of most of our members, meaning it's actually costing you money to not be a member of Investor Fuel. If you're looking to scale your business and build a business that allows you to live the life of your dreams, please visit investorfuel.com today and book a call with our team.
Wow.
I was really excited about moving into the mobile home so I could get some sleep. So the first night I thought, oh, this is great. I can sleep till 6 o'clock. Well, at 3 o'clock, I found out why it was named Railroad Street.
No way.
Locomotive came within 10 feet of the mobile home, and he shook me right out of the bed.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I thought, this is not going to work. So that's when I purchased my first home and rented out the mobile home. So a family came by and gave me $300. And I thought, oh, this is great. You know, they moved in, and I never saw them again. The check bounced. I didn't know how to get them out. So it took me a year to get them out because I didn't know what I was doing. And I thought, boy, I'm not much of a landlord. I don't think I'll ever do this again, which is funny because most of my life, that's really what I have done. So that was my rough beginning.
Man. So that was back in, you said 1970-ish?
55 years ago. So I've been in and out of real estate. You know, I've done a lot of other things, but I always had real estate. I always had some properties, single family homes, apartments. I've done some commercial real estate and some others, but the single family just fits. You know, there's plenty of them. There's always people with problems. If you learn how to talk to them, what to say and so forth, you can always go find a deal. I mean, they're always out there. And if you have a network of people, and I do, who want to purchase, it doesn't take very long to either get a partner or sell the deal or however you want to turn it into cash. It's pretty easy to do once you know what you're doing.
Yeah, man. So you 55 years in the making to lead us to today. That's really incredible. I mean, I thought, it's almost like if you've been in real estate for 10 years, you're a veteran almost at this point with a lot of the real estate community that you see now. And so talking with you, like I said, I'm really excited to learn more from you, and get some insights because you've done things that a lot of us haven't seen or done yet. Even, you've been through, the 80s. I've studied it, in the, I was born in the 80s. So you've been through, you were in the 80s when the markets were, people were complaining about interest rates being high today, like.
Yeah. Yeah. I can remember
when
rates
in the 80s.
19.5%. So if people are complaining about 6 or 7 or 8, well, I would have been happy with 13 or 14. Back then, you couldn't get a loan for those interest rates. So things have changed a lot. Yeah.
So it's just the perspective, right?
Exactly.
And you having gone through that, can lend a lot of knowledge to the audience of like, all right, hey, yeah, I know that it's different than it was a couple of years ago, but also I've been through it when it was 18, 19%, and we got through it then, and then you go through, the .com bubble, the 08 crash, and all that stuff. It's, let me ask you this. I would be remiss if I didn't at least ask you from an experience level, like, did you ever have any low points during those times, like of uncertainty of like, as a real estate investor, like and if so, like maybe one or two things that you, like, how did you kind of pull through it? Because you're still here today, which is incredible to think about to me.
Of course, I mean, if you're in business, a definition of business should be solving one problem after the next, because if you don't have problems and you're in business, well, you're going to have one, and it's going to be soon. And the longer it's been since you've had the last one, the bigger this one's going to be, because that's just what business is, solving problems. And yeah, I've had some tough times.
If you're looking for consistent, high-quality leads, look no further than Investor Machine. Investor Machine isn't just another agency. It's the most sophisticated, data-driven lead generation company on the planet for real estate investors, and serves the role of being not just a lead generator for your business, but a marketing partner that is helping you achieve your goals along the way. Go to investormachine.com to learn more and schedule a call with our team today.
Some of the things that have helped me through the hard times are the books that I've read, and the poems and the quotes and that I've kept. You know, I met Jim Rohn back in 1975. He came to I was working for a large company in Tennessee, and he came to do a training, and he was an unknown in 75. He was just a guy, just like you and me. And so we got to talk and get to know each other and so forth. And one of the things that he taught us while he was there was keep everything in the journal. You don't ever know when you're going to need it. Maybe you're going to have to speak, or maybe you'll have to write a newsletter or a book or something. So when something moves you, make a note of it. So from 75 until today, I've been keeping a list of motivational poems, quotes, books, and short stories and long stories that moved me, because I thought, well, you know, I started the Real Estate Investor Group here in Arlington back in 2005. And so every week I got to speak in front of people, and I would have the tip of the month and so forth. And I used a lot of that stuff to motivate and encourage the real estate investors to do well. And in 2007 or 8, one of the members of the AREA came up to me. His name was Mike Chase, and he said, "Dennis, I'm retiring in about 3 weeks, and I want you to teach me personally how to do what you're doing." And I turned him down. I said, "No, Mike, I don't have time. I'm doing my real estate. I have these meetings. I'm not interested in one-on-one training. So you'll have to find someone else." And he looked funny and looked at me and he said, "Dennis, you didn't understand what I said. I said in 3 weeks, I'm going to retire and you're going to train me." And I thought, my goodness. He said, "Well, let's go out to eat. I'll buy your lunch and we'll talk about it." So right before I left, I told my wife, Norma, I said, "Norma, I'm going to meet with Mike Chase, but I'm not going to train him." She said, "Okay." So we went out and he bought me a Whataburger. So after we ate, he had on a coat like this. He reached in his pocket and pulled out a checkbook and handed it to me. And he said, "Here, fill this out." And I said, "You mean the amount?" And he said, "Yeah." So I thought, okay, I'll fix him. This will be the end of this. I wrote down a number on there that I knew no one in their right mind would pay me to teach them. So I handed it back to him. He tore the check out, signed it, never looked at the amount, and handed it back to me. It wouldn't have mattered what I put. It wouldn't have made any difference. So that's when I started teaching. I thought, well, if somebody's willing to pay that kind of money, you know, I can take away from my real estate business and teach. So that was
when? What year was this?
I'm sorry?
What year was that?
It was 2007 or six or seven. So for the next 15 years, through the AREA, I had student after student. I had a line of people waiting to be students. and they became so successful. Brett, it shocked me how successful they were. They were a lot more successful than I was. Some of those students, and they still are, some of the most successful business people in Texas. I mean, you're talking about having some serious money. In the front of my new book, Real Impact Data Inspiration, I didn't have anything to say in testimonials about the book. So I contacted my students and said, "Can you just tell me something about what you thought about the training. And so
Yeah.
that's the first part of the book. It's just,
If you're a new or newer real estate investor looking to launch or grow your real estate investing business, please check out Investor Fuel Club. It's a coaching community, but unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can actually partner with members of our mastermind from coast to coast on deals right in your market. There's no better opportunity to build a consistent business than to literally partner with pros to help you avoid costly mistakes, avoid the need for capital to do deals, and help you eliminate your fears as you're starting your business. Learn more about Investor Fuel Club at investorfuel.com/club.
I think probably 20 students that came back and said, you should listen to this guy because he changed my life, or things
Love
like
that.
that. So after I finished the book, someone came in and said, Dennis, I read your book. I said, oh, great. Was there a story in there you liked the best? And he said, oh, yeah, I love the story about the little girl that came from Brazil that could just barely speak English, and she became a really super success. And I laughed and I said, well, that's really not a story in the book. That's a testimonial that one of my students gave.
Oh no, that's awesome.
I called
Yeah,
her. She was in Brazil when I called her and said, you had the best story in the book. She thought that was great. So
that's awesome. Well, look, I want to talk about that here in a second. But you had mentioned something. You said it was from Jim Rohn, I believe it was. You were talking about, and you were taking notes about tracking things that motivated you or things like that. And we were talking a little bit pre-show as well about kind of motivation and what it means to you. Like, I'd love kind of to hear your take a little bit on motivation, because I've heard so many things over the years. You hear different quips here and a quip there. And to me, you're clearly, as I've gotten to know you, you're clearly somebody it's not just motivation, but like I think your book is the right word for impact. What's your take on motivation? Like, I'm curious to hear your perspective.
early in my life, I wanted to become a college band director. I had taught in high school and I had done some work in college where they gave me fellowships. They would pay my tuition to get me to come and help with their band and so forth. And I found out that college band is much easier than high school band. The kids are smarter. They want to have good grades. They want to be there. Their parents are not there. So I thought being a college band director, that's a pretty good goal. So I got a master's degree, and then my high school band had just finished marching in the Rose Bowl parade. So I had a pretty good reputation as a band director. And Georgia Tech contacted me and said, we want to hire you as our band director.
Mm.
That's great. Oh man, that's great. So I went to Atlanta and was with a friend. I was supposed to sign the contract the next day when his phone rang and he said, it's for you. Well, back then there wasn't a cell phone. It was a phone on the wall. And
Right.
everybody didn't have everybody's phone number. I thought, wow. So this guy from Tennessee said, we want to bring you up here and interview you for a job. I said, no, I've got the best job in the world. I'm going to be the band director at Georgia Tech. And he says, well, we will give you a round trip ticket. We'll pick you up in a limousine. We'll buy you a steak and we'll give you a $25 cigar. Well, today that'd be a $300 cigar because that was in 1975. Well, I didn't smoke and I could have got a steak in Atlanta, but getting a free round trip ticket back in 75, you didn't get to fly much. So I told my friend, I said, well, I'm going to go up there and tell them that I'm not interested. So they brought me up there. They offered me 20 times the money that Georgia Tech. So I took it. And when I took it, they gave me 3 books. They gave me Success, The Glenn Bland Method, Think and Grow Rich, Greatest Salesman in the World by Og Mandino.
Mm-hmm.
Brett, when I finished reading those books, you talk about someone who was motivated. I was on fire. I was a different person when I finished reading those books. So for that reason, I wanted more. Well, it was, there wasn't an internet, there wasn't a Google, there wasn't a YouTube. If you wanted to find something, you had to literally talk to people. So I had to
Yeah.
go find successful people and say, what books are you reading? What books really give you this euphoria that makes you just super motivated? So I got a lot of suggestions and I read a lot of books, but only a few of them really had the impact of Think and Grow Rich or The Greatest Salesman in the World. So I thought, well, I'm just going to keep a list of the very best books. So you asked what motivated me over the years. I was always on the lookout for more and better inspirational books. And here's the great part. I kept a list of them and you can have it for free. I'm going to give the list to everybody today on the podcast. And if you want to get motivated, you go buy those books and read them, and I'll guarantee you they
Love it.
will set you on fire because they're, they're the wisdom of the ages, all set in just a small group of books.
Yeah. Do you think that may be like a path that led you to writing books yourself, or like how did that happen?
When I started teaching individually, the word got out that I was a super teacher because my students were just burning it up. I literally had a line of people waiting to pay me an awful lot of money to teach them. So for that reason, I got invited to expos. I mean, I'd done expos all over the United States, and I'd speak at other real estate investor groups. So one day on a podcasts were just getting started, and there was a real estate podcast, and the host said, Dennis, why are your students so successful? There's all kind of teachers out here and everything, but
Right.
your students are just amazing. I said, well, I haven't changed their habits. If they can form success habits, they will become successful. And then he said, what's the most important success habit? I thought for a second, and I said, they need to form the habit of reading something positive every
Mm,
day that leads them closer to their goal. If they'll form
love
that
that.
habit, that's the shortest distance from where they are to where they want to be. So after the podcast, I thought, that was the right answer. Wouldn't it be great if there were some kind of a tool to help people form that habit, an app or a book? And then it hit me. Dennis, you've been collecting these books and poems and short stories and quotes. You can put together a book that people can form a habit regardless of how busy they are. If they have 5 minutes, they read a poem. If they have
Yeah.
10 seconds, they come home, they're exhausted and they forgot to read that day, they can read a quote. It takes 5 seconds, 10 seconds. Or if they're at the airport, they have 30 minutes, they can read a short story. Or if they have a day off and they have 3 or 4 hours they want to read, they can read one of the books listed in the back. So there's no excuse. Now, Brett, it may seem simple. What I just said may seem simple.
Right. No, I love it.
It's a 50-year collection. You couldn't pay somebody to read for 50 years and save the best poems, quotes, and stories. It would cost a fortune. And
True.
it's all here for you in the book. And if you go to Amazon and read the reviews, there's people there that said, oh, this came just at the right time. I was having trouble with my business. I was down, and this just hit the spot. And it will. I mean, this is one of the most powerful books you could possibly get. And here's the great part. If you're already my age, you can leave it for your grandson or give it to a
Yeah.
niece or a nephew. And the deluxe copy is so nice that it'd be a quality gift that they would probably keep for the rest of their life. My aunt gave me a book in 1973 when I graduated from college, and it's still on my bookshelf, and I can
Wow.
still read her words from 52 years ago or 53. So it's a very powerful thing, and just knowing about it solves one of your problems. What do you give someone that's graduating from high school? What do you give a boy or someone in a wedding party? What do you give the groomsmen? Or what do you give someone in a nursing home? People in nursing homes probably bored to death, and they would really enjoy reading about people that they know. And this
Right.
book is full of people that everybody knows. I mean, everybody knows the name
Yeah.
Lincoln, Disney, or the list goes on and on. But did you know what they went through?
Yeah.
Problems that they encountered and still got past it and became super, super successful people.
Yeah.
So I think as far as motivation goes, that's that's a key. Whether you use this book or not, if you form the habit of reading something positive every day that leads you towards your goal, Brett, first of all, you have to have a goal.
Right.
That's the key right there. They gotta know what they want. If you know what you want, you're 95% of the way there.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other
So
percent.
that's why I kind of asked you about prior to getting into that, because like I knew we were leading up to this point in the conversation, like in our audience of real estate investors, and you having been in this since the 70s, and 50 years plus of doing this, like and having you've overcome quote unquote failure, or you've overcome those things. Like I imagine that the mindset that you must have authored that book in probably drew from some of your own personal experience as well, and saying, hey, I know that these are the things that got me through this, as somebody that went through my own struggles. Am I anywhere close to that?
Well, if you read the introduction, that's exactly what it says. It says, it says, I've, uh, I've had my share of successes and I've still got a lot of scars from the failures,
Mm,
but I wanted to leave some ideas for people so that they could skip over some of the failures, which is really what the book's about. It's a legacy. I didn't write it to make $1 million, although that'd be nice.
that'd be nice. Yeah.
Yeah, but uh, 50 years from now, when somebody reads my book, it'll still be helping people, and I will have been gone for a long, long time. That's a pretty good feeling,
Well, hey,
really.
that's the name of the title, right? Real impact.
That's right. And
Yeah.
it's well thought out. It's true.
Yeah.
It will make a real impact on your life or someone that you choose to help and give to.
Yeah. So I want to make sure we're clear on the name of it. It's Real Impact and Daily Inspiration. Is that correct?
It's Real Impact Daily Inspiration,
Yeah.
and the website is realimpactbook.com.
Okay.
And if you want a free ebook, go to realimpactbook.com and scroll to the bottom, click on the link that says podcast guest, and there's no strings attached. You put in your name and email address, you get the download then. It's not in a couple of days or in a couple of hours. It's instant. It's
Yeah.
automatic. And there are no strings. I won't put you on a mailing list. If you're a real estate investor, I probably already have your email.
Yeah.
Got 800,000. So I don't really need your email. But
Yeah.
if there's a link there that says when you write more books, I want to be informed. If you click that, then the only time you'll ever hear from me is when I finish my next book, which will be like Real Impact 2 and 3. And I'm writing uh, The 7 Secrets of Success and The
Mm.
Laws of Nature, and a couple of others. I've got 5 real estate books that I've completed. One of them is in print already, and I'll be releasing the other 4 every month. I'll be doing one in March, one in April, one in May, and one in June. So
Okay.
uh, you may want to look into those too.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah. I mean, I just know for, selfishly, as I'm talking to you, like I encourage you to take a look at that, because that's a huge, huge value. I know especially today, a lot of the real estate investors I talk to might be struggling more than they were yesterday. You know what I mean? Like the world's changing, the market's changing. This last year and a half has been hard in the real estate world. And having a tool, because like that's what I look at this as, is it's a tool um, to kind of keep that faith, to keep the motivation, keep the inspiration, to continue, because that's, I think, the my personal opinion is the definition of success. Is It's not just making a lot of money, it's picking yourself up every day and continuing. Right. So that's huge, Dennis. I'm personally looking very forward to reading this.
Wonderful.
Yeah. Well, before we head out here for today, Dennis, do you have any like I know you've obviously got probably so much that you could give, but if there was one thing that you could leave our audience with as far as maybe a quote or something that you're like, this has been something that's really left a lot of impact in your life personally, like what would you say to that person?
Zig Ziglar is one of my favorite people. He was an author and a speaker. He started out selling pots and pans.
Mm-hmm.
We're both from Alabama, and I visited his hometown in Yazoo City. But his secretary helped me write the chapter about him in the book. But he has a quote that's in actually real impact too. And the quote says, "Little by little, a little becomes a lot. If you just read for 20 minutes a day on a 200-page book, at the end of the year, you will have read 20 books.
Mm.
That's 19 more than the average person.
Yeah.
Just think how that will set you apart." I think that's a pretty strong thing, and he's another person that you want to follow in his footsteps because,
Yeah.
I mean, I've spoken in many cities throughout the United States and in other countries, and in every time I spoke, I always said, "Has anyone here ever heard of Zig Ziglar?" And all of the hands went up. It was very
Yeah.
rare that no one had heard of Zig Ziglar. So Jim Rohn said, "Look, find out what successful people do and do that." Well, Zig read for 3 hours every day, every
Wow.
single day, 3 hours. Well, maybe that's a clue. I don't know. I'm saying just read something every day. It could be a quote. Zig said, read 20 minutes every day. So we're both saying the same thing, just
Yep.
in a little bit different way. I think that's very impactful. If you want to become a successful real estate investor, read something every day about short sales, substitute, private money, probate, something every day. And soon you'll be teaching. People
There you
will
go.
be coming to you.
Yeah. Man, that's really amazing. Well, Dennis, I appreciate you taking the time to talk with us today. We're going to make sure we have everything in the show notes for everybody to reach out to you and grab a copy of, of your book there. But man, it's been a pleasure having you guys. Thanks so much for listening today, and we'll catch you guys on the next one. Take care, everybody.
Thanks for joining us for today's Real Estate Pros Show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing for your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. If you're interested in joining us as a guest of this show, please visit investorfuel.com/pros to apply. You can also check the show notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and much more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next show.